Hey, this is Janina with LoveThemAllMinistries out of New York. Today marks the 10-year anniversary of the passing of my twin identical daughters. They did pass away in the womb, and I'm here to tell my story. One of them was stillborn, and one of them was aborted. The one that was stillborn as a result of the abortion that took place from the other one. Uh, so here's my story. 11 years ago, my grandmother died suddenly, and she was my everything, my stability, my steady. She raised me in the church. She loved me unconditionally, and along the way, as a teenager, as a young adult, I fell away from the things of the Lord. And when she died, I hated God, and I hate to say that, but I hated him. I wanted nothing to do with him. I don't know if that would be considered an atheist. I'm not really sure. But the point is, I wanted nothing to do with him. I would get blackout drunk and scream at him and, ask him why he took the only person who ever truly loved me away from me. And I took it very personal. Um, not taking into consideration how sick she was and that it wasn't all about me. I was very hurt. I was broken, and I was just so angry with God. A few months after acting this way and coping, because the alcohol was my coping mechanism, um, I had a dream with my grandmother, and I know it was the Lord just pretty much releasing me. And she kind of rebuked me. I'm not saying it's her. It was her. I'm saying that the Lord used this dream to snap me out of it. And I was rebuked, told I needed to stop. And I woke up and I was like, okay. And a couple months later, I was still angry with God, by the way. I didn't pray to him. I didn't seek him. I just wasn't acting crazy. Um, so a couple months later, me and my ex, we plan on having children, more children. I get pregnant. It was twin girls. And one of them was, we've come to find out, one of them was very sick. Before even having a diagnosis, before even knowing exactly what it was, the doctors were already trying to convince me to abort the pregnancy. At this point, I'm 3 months. I feel them moving. There was two in there. And it was just, they were very cold. There was no emotion. It was, this is cruel. Mind you, they didn't know exactly what it was. They were throwing out different names that they would die. One, they were going to die at birth. One was going to die at birth, and what have you. And that it would be cruel and inhumane to bring this child into the world. That's what I was told as soon as I found out something was wrong. I said, I'm not aborting my child. There has to be another alternative. So the doctor refers me to a specialist to monitor me and kind of try to figure out what was going on. And she sits down and tells me, there's really nothing I can do for you. I'm going to submit your paperwork to a world-renowned surgeon out of Spain, and who moved to the States and was practicing in the States. And she says to me, he operates on babies in vitro. There's no promises, but maybe he'll review your case and offer you a better option, one more suitable for you. 3 days go by and I get a phone call from his office. And at this point, I'm relieved. I can tell you that I made this person my God. I believed that he was the answer to all of my problems at the time. So I go to see this doctor. Along the way, I just want to know, just let you know that I was getting these 4D ultrasounds. So I'm watching them grow once or twice a week throughout my pregnancy. And they're very much human, that young. So I'm just going to leave that there. So that was my way of bonding. Anyway, where was I? Kind of went on a tangent, sorry. So this doctor selects my case. We do a few tests. They They checked for Down syndrome because they had markers, and I opted for that, the amniocentesis, which I don't know why. I mean, I wouldn't have aborted them if there was Down syndrome anyway, but this doctor, again, was God in my eyes, metaphorically. Um, they didn't have Down syndrome. I was so relieved, but come to find out, one of them had spina bifida and an omphalocele. And for those who don't know what omphalocele is when the female reproductive organs or the stomach organs are outside of the body. What happens is between 11 and 13 weeks, I believe, your organs in the front are outside of your body, and what happens is skin starts to form around it. It'll twist, and the skin will cover it. Hers didn't. And so and then the other twin was completely fine, which is crazy because they were identical. So I began researching, and at the time I already had I think my son was 5 years old, so I was quite concerned, and I didn't really know what to do. Everybody was telling me that it was cruel and inhumane. Some people just had absolutely no advice. I mean, how could they? Aside from that, how do you tell someone, oh, you should abort your child because they're sick, or don't? Some people they were just stunned, as I was. Although my ex did tell me if I brought a sick child into this world, he would hate me. I felt very isolated and alone. My mom was definitely a huge shoulder to lean on, and my ex's mother was there for me. His sister was there for me, and I'm truly grateful for that support. But I was put on bed rest, and I had nowhere to really take these girls once they were born. I was backed into a corner, pretty much. At the time, I was living in Florida, and they're not really set up like New York is with the help and support system. So what I was offered was a place to stay up until she was 6 weeks old. And then after that, I was kind of on my own. But that's a whole different topic and a situation that needs to be fixed in itself, the whole system in Florida and other states. That's another video for another time. Anyway, so yeah, I feel alone. I have nobody, is what I felt like. I felt abandoned and backed into a corner. And with the doctor's advice and what I was feeling, I didn't, even the day of the surgery, I didn't know what to do. So what the doctor offered, by surgery, I mean, what the doctor had offered me was to tie off the one who was sick, to tie off her cord, and that she would just slowly pass away because it would cut off oxygen to her, and that he was going to give her a sedative, and it was the humane way. So I went ahead with the surgery. I get there, and you're awake for the surgery. Your hands are like tied, and they gave me medicine to kind of sedate me. They put these headphones on with this classical music, and because of the drugs they gave me, I was like irritated, and I kept shaking the headphones off. And so he ties off the sick one's, cord. Mariah was her name. And I hear the doctor say, because I shook off the headphones, "Why is this baby trying to die on me?" And I screamed, "What? No, what did I do?" And I just remember my body kind of shaking and me like things getting black, and then me coming to and feet run. And then I just looked at the floor, like my body kind of went limp. And I just remember seeing feet run all over the place. I remember the anesthesiologist screaming at the doctor to stop because he was trying to resuscitate the baby. Mind you, this is all in my womb, through laparoscopic procedures. Forgive me if I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm not really good trying to figure out this whole video thing. So she died. They couldn't tell me she died because of my condition. He had to stop. Again, I remember hearing the anesthesiologist screaming at the doctor that he had to stop because I was going to die. And they told me that they would check an ultrasound in the morning to see if she passed away. They couldn't tell me in the moment that she had already gone because of the way my body was responding. I was so upset. So The next morning, they give me an ultrasound, and I could kind of tell that she was, his nurse was just like, oh, faking it for my sake, really. And she tells me, I'm so sorry, there's no heartbeat. She's gone. And we're going to induce your labor. Not even a C-section was offered, for whatever reasons. They were going to induce my labor. So here I am now on labor and delivery. And other babies are being born. And when I tell you that some of these nurses and the doctor, because he was no longer my doctor, now I was transferred to labor and delivery, and I didn't have a doctor at this hospital that was supposed to deliver my children once they were born. It was supposed to be the surgeon. They were treating me like if I just opted to just murder them both, and I didn't really understand their anger personally, maybe behind my decisions. So 48 hours of labor, and I deliver my two beautiful daughters at about 6 months. They were about 6 months, just shy of 6 months, and they were a pound each, fully developed. Blonde eyebrows, nails, so beautiful. And I sat there and I held them. I kissed them. It was very hard. And this was 10 years ago today. One of them I chose to kill is how I was seeing it, and the other one died as a result. So this was very difficult. And then I had to sign paperwork over for a crematory to come and pick them up because I couldn't afford a funeral. I couldn't afford to bury them. A family member actually paid for them to be cremated for me. So leaving the hospital was actually the hardest part, or so I thought. Going to actually pick up their remains was pretty difficult too. But leaving the hospital without them, here I am, used to feeling them move at night. I would drink orange juice on purpose when I was going to bed, just to put my hands on my stomach to fall asleep, feeling them move around. So fast forward, I get home. A month goes by. I haven't slept. My 5-year-old son doesn't really understand what's going on, so during the day I had to have a brave face on for him. I felt like I had nobody to talk to when I would try to talk about the twins and what happened, to process it. I think it just really made people uncomfortable, and they, I had people tell me, oh, I can't talk about this. And that was it. So about a month after, I just wanted the pain to stop. And I remember sitting up, and I wanted to sleep, and I couldn't. Because that's when I would mourn. My son was sleeping. I could cry. So I remember one night, I sat up, and I just thought to myself, maybe just one drink and a pill, some drugs, some alcohol. I just want to be numb. I just need some sleep. And I heard the Lord say, mind you, I wanted nothing to do with him, hadn't sought him throughout all of this. And I heard the Lord say, go ahead, go back to the drugs and alcohol. This time you'll die. Last time you should have died, but I had my hand on you. And your son is going to be worse off than you if you do this. And he showed me that my son would have died at a very young age, in his early 20s. Basically, I would have enacted a curse, a generational curse, had I done that. So I Googled non-denominational church near me, and lo and behold, there was one that I had no idea had opened up around the block from me. So the next day was a Wednesday, and I walked over there, still with, stitches in my stomach, maternity pants, and I tell them what happened, and the Lord used them to love me back to life. I'm so grateful for that church and that season in my life. So I'm sitting there, and I didn't know that the Lord spoke to you through Bible verses. And for those of you who want to hear from God and say you never do, open up your word, because he speaks. So I kept seeing Romans 8:28 everywhere, and I didn't understand why. And I remember sitting there and seeing it on the screen. And this church does not put Bible verses up on the screen usually. It's usually just song lyrics. And it just happened to read Romans 8:28. And I remember sitting there looking up at the screen and saying, why do I keep seeing this? And I heard the Lord speak again. And he said, I know you missed them and what you went through was horrible and I'm sorry. But if you allow me, I'm going to take this and use it to bring glory and honor to my name, and we will save lives together. And I said, okay. Oh, that was 10 years ago. Romans 8:28 reads, I work all things together for good for those who love God according to my plan and my purpose. Depending on what version you're reading. Now, the word in that verse actually means obedience. It doesn't mean love like we love, like I love you as my friend or my husband or mother. It means obedience. Those who are obedient to God. So I said, okay. And God's been amazing, to me. And I gave my life to him. And he has really showed up and showed off. I have a friend who her baby was going to be born with half a heart, so to speak. And I was able to minister and pray for her through that. And he's alive with a new heart. And I'm not saying it's because of me. I'm just saying that God used me in that process. Had I not been through what I had been through, I wouldn't have been able to do that. There have been other situations I've had people come forward and say, thank you, because of your story, because of your testimony, I'm not having an abortion or whatever the case may be. There's two purposes behind this message. One is to expose the medical field and how they convinced me and told me it was inhumane and cruel to bring a sick child into this world. And the lack of help available to those who are pregnant is a problem. And I'm not saying that it's not a problem. But there are solutions. And if you're in this situation, please reach out to me if you need resources, if you need help. Just because something is wrong with your child or potentially wrong with your child does not mean that you have to kill your child. You don't have to do that. I'm here to let you know that if you do it or if you have done it, there are long-term side effects emotionally, spiritually, and mentally that you will have to deal with, whether it's 20 years from now, 30 years from now, or right after. But there is help, there is hope available. And I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you're a father and you have no say in a situation and an abortion is about to take place, reach out. There's a community here for you. And we will do what we can to help you or to connect you to the resources that are available to you. I didn't have that. So I'm here and the team is here and we will do our best to help you and pray for you. And if you're a victim of this or this has already happened, you've already made the decision or, you're affected by it in any way, any type of abortion or stillbirth, please reach out if you need resources, you need prayer, you need counseling. It is available to you. There is healing in Christ Jesus. And if you want to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, all you have to do is believe with your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus died and rose again. And ask him to come into your heart and into your life, make him Lord of your life, and to forgive you of your sins. It's really that simple. But it starts from here. God bless you. I hope I didn't ramble too much. there are other stories, there are other things that are in play that are going to come out. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. Be blessed.